Hello everyone, benvenuti a tutti. Welcome to another edition of Italian America Long Island, a presentation of the Solaro Lodge, Order Sons of Italy in America. I'm Dave Anthony Setta Ducati. You know, America is a nation of immigrants, and we all want to cherish our ancestry and our heritage while we honor America. Recently I attended a meeting of the Solaro Lodge and spoke with some of their members and the guests about their Italian heritage. How do we preserve our heritage? What do we do as individuals, families, and organizations to maintain our traditions in our daily lives and in our homes? Let's see what some people do.
When I became president of Suffolk Community College about 15 years ago, I made sure everybody knew that my mother and father came from Sicily and that I was a first-generation American of Italian descent. I was very proud to be able to boast about my Italian heritage, and I wanted people to know, because we heard so much about the mafia and all these other things, people had to know that there were a lot of Italians, most of us, who went far beyond that. And so I was very proud to make that statement. I'm of Italian heritage.
Hi, my name is Anthony. It's my daughter Melania and my daughter Marcella. One way that we honor our Italian heritage is by eating delicious Italian food. We love making fresh mozzarella together, and we like playing Maccabi. Tell them. Briscola.
To honor my Italian heritage, I joined the Italian club, and I met Dave, the photographer. He's a beautiful guitar player, and this is a wonderful place. And we are nice people. That's it.
Hi, my name is Christian Minicuzzi, and one thing I do to continue my Italian heritage is to learn the language and try to become as fluent as possible. Grazie a tutti che mi ha offerto questo medaglia di David.
Hi, my name is Diana Di Stefano, and what I remember most about my Italian heritage is my mother making artichokes, stuffed artichokes, the Sicilian way with breadcrumbs, and it's really delicious. And I finally found the recipe, so I'm going to be making them for her in her memory.
I'm Blake Rocca, and I preserve the Italian culture by learning the language, learning about it, and sharing it with the people I care about. And this is my mom, Kathy Rocca.
Hi, I'm Kathy Rocca. I'm the second vice president at the Dr. Vincenzo Solaro Lodge in Smithtown. And I joined this lodge to preserve the Italian heritage. I watch in parades, we do a lot of things that are a lot of fun, and also teach the people about Italy. Thank you.
My name is Nicholas Caliotto, and one thing I do to keep my Italian heritage alive is I have Sunday dinner with my whole family. Every week, my grandpa comes over, my mom whips up some nice pasta, occasionally some meatballs. We sit around the table and talk for maybe 2 hours. This family's the most important thing ever.
I'll share with you, when my grandfather came over here from Italy, I asked him about the trip on the boat. Remember, it wasn't like the boats that we have and the ships that we have today. You know, there was hardly anything, any kind of facilities on there. They just loaded them in the boat, and they packed them, and they sent them to the United States. And he told me, I said, well, how was it, Grandpa? How was it when you came over? He says, well, the ship, it's shaking from back and forth, and the back and forth, and the back and forth. Everybody was throwing up. It was a beautiful. That's what he told me. It was a great thing. And that's how my story from my grandfather that came from Italy.
My name is Andrew Scardino, and I take Italian. In order to preserve our Italian heritage, we celebrate Christmas together, go to church at Christmas, and I eat as much cannoli as I can.
My name is Sal Modrano. I get wine, I make like my grandfather did, with grapes and love. In addition, I make limoncello. Enjoy my Italian heritage.
trustee for District 1 here in Suffolk County. I belong to the Vigiano Brothers Lodge out east in Port Jeff. How I keep my Italian heritage. My grandmother was a very, very, very big part of my life, and I try to emulate everything she did, down to her cooking, Sunday meals, her rep meatballs, everything. I just love my Italian heritage, and I am involved in the Sons of Italy because I like to promote the Italian heritage and culture, and I just love everything about being Italian.
Hi, my name is Joanna, and both of my parents are from Italy. My mother's from Bari, and my father's from a little town called Settifrado. So, for our Italian tradition is on Christmas Eve, we make a special pastry from Bari, and it's called carta dai, and when we make it, the whole house smells wonderful. It smells like Christmas. So, that's what we do every year. Buon Natale a tutti.
Hello everybody, my name is Ralph Pace. I come from Sicily, the town of Shaka, and to honor my heritage, I sing the Italian anthem, and I try to do the best way I can to enjoy my Italian heritage. Thank you. Fratelli d'Italia, l'Italia se ne sta, dell'elmo di Scipio se cinta la testa.
Hi, my name is Anna Morale. I come from a town called Bruzzi, which is right next door to Corleone. Our heritage was a big day on St. Joseph Day. We make up a table and take three people that are really in need of food, which represents the Trinity. And I've been doing it since my mom passed away 25 years ago. And I'm hoping to keep going. But in the village as well, so my daughter-in-law, who's also Italian, took over. So the tradition goes on.
Hi, we're Carol and Ron, and to honor our Italian heritage, we bake all the Easter breads and pies that my grandmother made in Europe, and we love the tradition, and my children are now carrying that on.
My name is Tom Papa, and I'm here to show you what we hope is a traditional Italian pizza oven. If you look inside, you can see the wood is getting the pizza oven nice and hot. The wood itself isn't really what's going to cook the pizza, but it's all the heat that's being absorbed by the walls and the floor. Get the wall up to about 800 degrees. You put the pizzas in. At that point, they cook in about 3 minutes. It's perfect. This structure was the understructure, which was going to be like a dome, typical dome shape. But when we got to this point, my wife liked the geometric shape, she liked the design, and she said, stuck with the way it is, I love it, and here it is.
Thanks everyone for sharing the ways that you preserve your heritage. I like to preserve my Italian heritage by learning and performing Italian music. And I hope you enjoy this very famous Italian song I'm going to sing for you now.
Penso che un sogno così non ritorni mai più. Mi dipingevo le mani e le facce di blu. Poi d'improvviso venivo dal vento rapito e cominciavo a volare nel cielo infinito. Volare, oh, oh. Cantare, oh, oh, oh. Nel blu, dipinto di blu, felice di stare lassù. E volavo, volavo felice più in alto del sole ed ancora più su. Mentre il mondo pian piano spariva lontano laggiù. voce suonava soltanto per me. Volare.
On a beautiful summer afternoon, my wife and I and some friends drove out east to an Italian-style winery in Jamesport, Long Island. We came to celebrate our Italian heritage by participating in the winery's Pizza con Amici program. The winery's owner has decorated the tasting room with murals depicting Italian street scenes. The shops are named after his relatives who live in the area around Naples. You'll also find some beautiful paintings on the walls, and the area around the bar recreates a typical exterior of an Italian chalet. I thought of my Italian ancestors who had come from San Fele, a mountain village in Basilicata, southeast of Napoli. Then we heard a very interesting presentation by Professoressa Kristen Viscelli, a local teacher of Italian language.
Choose a theme that I think would be of interest to them, so tonight I decided to choose something that kind of transcends language and speaks to all of us, which is la musica italiana. So, as a lot of us know, many terms from music are Italian. Do you know any Italian terms? Davide, I can talk on this one. You could just shout them out.
Forte.
Forte, sì.
Fortissimo.
Fortissimo, you're more than forte. Allegro, sì, like happy, lucky.
Coda. Coda.
Coda, sì.
And? Is that what it means?
Maestoso.
Is it alto?
Alto.
Maestoso invece.
Spiazzato. Basso. Soprano.
Crescendo.
Crescendo, which means
To grow louder.
rise to the ladder.
Diminuendo.
Diminuendo, piccato. Piccato. What else? Staccato. All right, I'm going to give you a list of terms that, as planned, I think a lot of us know, and hopefully we'll have a little sing along with it actually.
After the program, we ate some delicious pizza, and of course, we drank some delicious wine. Then we sang some traditional Italian Neapolitan songs with the owner.
Here on some Wednesday nights in the summertime, in August, September, and then again in October, we have Pizza con Amici, a little opportunity to have pizza with your friends while you learn about Italian language and the influence of Italians on music in this country and around the world. We also have opera on August 6th. Every year we have opera at least once or twice, and we have occasions here in the wintertime, starting in December with what we call Christmas with Grandma on 3 different Sundays in December, and then Sundays with Grandma that starts in mid-February and goes through a portion of April. And then in the springtime, we do it to reflect what people would have at Easter time. So it's our great joy to do these things and to share it with people who we know have the same memories of these same occasions when they were young too.
I've invited my friend Frank D'Agostino over to talk to me about the way that he honors his Italian heritage. When we talk about Italian heritage, we're not only talking about festivals and things like that, we're also talking about family and ancestors and how we honor those ancestors. Frank, welcome to our little show.
Thank you, Dave. It's a pleasure to be here.
And I know you brought something very special with you today.
I certainly did. Years ago, my dad had played the mandolin, and I was fortunate enough to be able to keep that after he had passed. And as far back as I can remember, my dad, who died at the age of 80, was still playing the mandolin whenever he had a few moments of leisure. So he would pick up the mandolin constantly throughout his whole life, as far as I can recollect. The history of this mandolin goes back to when my dad was a teenager. According to his recollection of the story, he found the mandolin lying in the grass in a lot, and where boys used to play softball.
Mm-hmm.
And he believes that the mandolin was used as a bat.
Now, I know that he had to have it repaired. Now, you told me that there's a little legend that goes along with this.
Right, there is a legend, okay, and it's really remarkable, and he said, well, when he first found the mandolin, it was a flat mandolin, and he had it repaired, okay, according to him, by D'Angelico, okay, which is a renowned master of musical instruments, from restorations and also brand new. I'm talking about my dad finding the mandolin probably in the 1920s.
So D'Angelico was really just starting out his career, and as most people know, D'Angelico guitars go for $75,000 and up now. I mean, they are real collector's pieces.
Right.
And his New Yorker model is probably one of the most famous acoustic archtop guitars ever made. And it was when I heard that D'Angelico had worked on this instrument, I was just very excited.
Yeah, I wish I had some, validation of that. I just have my my dad's word on that. But he did say he put some money into it, okay, to get it repaired, and apparently it was worth it to him to do that. Now, like I said, originally it was a flat mandolin, and he had it transformed with a bell bottom back.
Which is the Italian style mandolin.
Correct.
With the bowl in the back.
Right.
I would love to see this
Yeah, right.
instrument. You have it?
I have it right here, and this is it.
Wow, look at this thing. This is beautiful. A real Italian style mandolin, and the back is just as beautiful as the front. Look at that workmanship. And what they did, they made that bowl back out of all these thin little strips that they glued together. And it was quite a piece of workmanship. This thing is gorgeous.
It's formidable. It's got to believe that the piece itself is originally close to 100 years old by now.
Yeah.
There's some damage, okay, because it wasn't stored properly in a cooler, drier place. So some of the wood started to separate, obviously. But between the distinctive shape of the mandolin, the amount of mother of pearl that is used, surrounding the hole and
Yeah,
around
look
the
at
trim.
that work around here, all around the edge, around the sound hole, and just underneath the bridge.
Right.
A beautiful
and
piece.
on the neck, it's just remarkable. I use it mostly as a remembrance. I have it displayed in my house, of my dad. My brother, who lives in North Carolina, is also a musician, and I would think that this is going to go to him if I ever died before he did. Because this
weren't you a
is gonna stay in the
musician
family.
too, Frank?
Yes, I was. I started playing the guitar when I was 16, and had numerous little bands, during the course of my guitar playing years.
Did you ever play with your father?
I have. My dad, not so prominently insisted, but he basically emphasized the need for me to be able to accompany him on his mandolin. And I think one of the reasons, after a long year, seemed like long years of debate about whether or not I should be playing the guitar, because my dad felt that I probably would only be half interested in it and eventually give it up. But when he finally succumbed to my nagging, I wanted to play the guitar with my friends and this and that, he insisted that, number one, I go for lessons, and number two, I accompany him when he asked me to on the guitar.
Well, I guess you felt that you were required to. He was paying for the lessons.
Exactly, and I always did what my dad said.
Okay.
It was really great, though. I mean, like, he loved his music, and his music, of course, were mostly all of Italian origin, and they were polkas, waltzes, and what they called mazurkas. And he played endlessly and ferociously on the mandolin. I mean, his picking was so fast and so accurate that, like, I would accompany him, and, like, I would, like, lose my train of thought and my chord orientation when he was playing, because I was watching him all the time. And he could pick so rapidly, and he had such an ear for music that back in the 50s, when I was really starting to think about playing the guitar, and in the late 50s, early 60s, my dad would, like, just listen to the radio and start playing with the music on the radio. He had such an incredible ear, regardless of what key the music was in, that he was able to pick up the mandolin and just play along with the song.
That's a sign of a true musician.
Absolutely.
Now, besides yourself, did your dad play with any other musicians?
He did. I have somewhere at home, and I tried to find it for this occasion today. It's a photograph of my dad of him in a band. It looked like about maybe a 20-piece orchestra with violins, guitars, cellos, and a string of mandolins. And they all wore uniforms, and you can tell it was a photograph to be used for advertising.
He did play at least semi-professionally.
He did.
I know that playing music was not his full-time profession, but he did play with professional bands.
He did.
And I would like to know now, Frank, how important was music in your father's life?
Oh, I think it was probably a major portion in his life. Like I said, whenever he had a spare moment at home, he would be picking up the mandolin and playing it. My dad had 8 siblings, okay? And only one other uncle I know also played the mandolin. So when my father and he got together, of course they would play, for family functions or what have you. And that was always fun. He loved to play because you could see it in his face and in his eyes when he was playing. You could almost see his eyes start to roll back when he was so much enjoying the music that he was playing. He was just like loving where he was.
There's something about Italians and music. I mean, it's just such a big part of the Italian heritage. Italians love playing music, they love singing, and I did want to say something though. The mandolin is used in a lot of country music now,
Yes.
as well as Irish music, but there's differences. I just happen to have an American style mandolin here. As you mentioned, the flat mandolin. This is called the F style. Call it an F style mandolin, and you can see the main difference here is the way that the body is curved over here and flat, of course, and then we have this little ornament of woodworking up here. Of course, we have the same number of strings and all. And then here we have the Italian style mandolin, which today is really reminiscent to what's called the A style of mandolin, but the A style American mandolin is also flat back. It's only the Italian style mandolin which will have this kind of lute type back. So, and of course the playing styles are quite different. When they play the American mandolin in bluegrass or in country music, a lot of times they're using blues scales, where the Italian style of musical playing uses the straight melodic scales, whether they be major or minor, but they really don't use those blue notes that they would use in this. And of course there's quite a repertoire of Italian mandolin pieces that I'm sure your dad was very familiar with. There were so many traditional tunes. I myself, I have two books, two. One for Northern Italian style mandolin and Southern Italian style mandolin.
That's interesting.
So, and I'm sure your dad probably knew many of those things. But for you, how was music a part of your life? I know we have some photos here that I'm going to show of when you were in rock bands.
Be happy to. Yeah, these photos go back a ways. This first photo, okay, was of myself, my dad, my younger brother in the background, and my very good friend, another Frank, accompanying my dad while he was playing the mandolin. At this time, we were living in Richmond Hill, Queens, and looking at this picture, I don't think my brother was more than maybe 9 years old, 10 years old.
You got that the Fabian look-alike
Do you
thing
think?
going on. Yes, you definitely do. You got that Fabian hairstyle.
I was definitely in the style of the day.
And how about this other photo that you have?
This other photo, okay, is at my grandfather's 80th birthday. Standing in the background is my grandfather and my mom behind my dad, who was sitting with the mandolin on his lap. And I have an aunt and an uncle here and one of my cousins in their arms. On the bandstand is myself and a little band that I had put together back in the day. And this drummer, Johnny Diamond, actually was the leader of the band. And our accordionist, his name was, I believe, was also John. And we just had a trio. And we played mostly music out of the fake books, if you recall those books in the day, where they had most music of the 40s and 50s. And then we just copied the music off that material.
Well, what a great thing to play for your family, perform for your family at such an important function as your grandfather's 80th birthday.
That's the truth. I mean, this was a big deal for us, actually playing on a stage.
Oh,
like
yeah.
This.
Oh,
I
yeah.
mean, like, this is like, I think, our very first job, sitting together and playing music for the public.
Yes.
Even though they were all family.
And that is, of course, the mandolin that you brought.
That's right. My dad's mandolin, in his hand right there. And of course, he played with the band.
Well, thank you, Frank.
Oh, it's my pleasure. And yeah, we must talk some more about this.
Love to.
Great.